Hey y'all, check this out. Australia's retired Tiger helicopter might hunt in Ukraine. Aussies, brace yourself. Crikey! I hope you've had your brekkie and gone to the dunny because your government is considering sending Ukraine a big part of your military aviation history, the Tiger ARH attack helicopter. These choppers have been retired, replaced, and let's be honest, roasted in your own press. But Ukraine might give them something they've never really had, a proper war. Hey friends, Wes O'Donnell here, veteran of the old US military before it got all war crimey, and forever banned from the city of Brisbane, Australia. It's a long story that involved a koala bear, the Lord Mayor's wife, and an industrial-sized jar of lingonberries. You know what? We ain't got time for that because today we're talking about second chances, retired warriors, and the deadly reinvention of battlefield roles. Let's dive in. Here's what we know. Australia and Ukraine are officially talking about transferring some, or maybe all, of the Australian Army's 22 Tiger Armed Reconnaissance Helicopters. That's not speculation. It's been confirmed by defense officials and reported across Australian media. The idea is to bundle them into an upcoming military aid package or possibly send them separately, given their unique logistics needs. Now, this comes just a few months after Australia donated 49 M1A1 Abrams tanks to Ukraine. Tanks for those tanks, by the way. Ha! An aid package so large it could be seen from space. Now this time it's rotorcraft, not armor. Ukraine has been on the hunt for modern attack helicopters to supplement its dwindling Mi-24 Hind fleet. Some of those were donated by allies like Poland and the Czech Republic, but those birds are old, Soviet era, and increasingly hard to maintain. And let's be honest, the only good thing to ever come out of the Soviet Union was Soyuz and Kalashnikov. Enter the Tiger ARH. Okay, let's be clear. This isn't some knockoff attack chopper. The Tiger is a Franco-German-Australian hybrid war machine. Manufactured by Airbus Helicopters, the Tiger was first ordered by Canberra in 2001 and entered service in 2004. But it wasn't declared fully operational until, wait for it, 2016. That's 12 years of teething issues, and even then, it still had 76 unresolved capability deficiencies. To put it bluntly, this thing was a bureaucratic headache, but when it worked, it worked. The ARH variant is a two-seater, tandem-rotor, glass cockpit attack helicopter. It's agile. It's stealthier than the average attack helo, and originally armed with AGM-114 Hellfires, 70mm rockets, and a chin-mounted 30mm cannon. It's lighter than an Apache, faster than a Hind, and quieter than a Blackhawk with a hangover. So why did Australia give up on the Tiger? Well, two reasons: cost and readiness. The Tigers were notoriously expensive to maintain. Their sustainment costs were among the highest per flight hour in the fleet. Worse, FMC rates, fully mission capable, hovered around 50%, sometimes lower. That's not good enough for a country with a relatively small helicopter fleet. So in 2021, the Australian Ministry of Defense did what most of us do when our gear starts underperforming. They jumped on Etsy and ordered something new. They picked the AH-64E Apache Guardian, and to be fair, the Apache is a beast. Combat tested, networked, lethal. In 2023, Washington greenlit a $3.5 billion deal for 29 Apaches, 16 longbow radars, Hellfire missiles, and the APKWS laser-guided rockets right on over to Australia. Crikey! The first two Apaches just arrived at RAAF base Townsville this October, so the Tigers were out, and for a while, nobody really knew what would happen to them. Some guessed they'd be scrapped like the doomed MRH-90 Taipans, which were literally buried in an Australian landfill. Others figured the Tigers would go into storage. But now, they might get shipped east into the bloodiest helicopter battlefield on Earth. So why does Ukraine want these cats? Well, Ukraine isn't picky, it's practical. They need helicopters that can shoot, survive, and be supplied. The Tiger ARH fits 2 of those criteria right out of the box. And the third, supply chain, might be manageable with help from France and Germany, who still operate Tigers, by the way. The Ukrainian ambassador has already said Ukraine would be thankful to receive them. He's been asking for months. His original request for Australia's MRH-90s was denied, but the Tiger, well, that's back on the table. So let's talk capabilities. The Tiger ARH carries laser-guided Hellfire missiles, the same type already donated to Ukraine in their coastal defense role. It also mounts unguided 70mm rockets, a 30mm cannon, and advanced sensors. The thermal imaging and the laser designation gear make it perfect for pairing with Ukraine's new APKWS rocket systems or even future air-launched drone systems. In short, this is a flying hunter with modern optics and precision weapons. Okay, so listen, Australian viewers. Yes, I see you in the comments. I know you've been waiting for years to see the Tigers offloaded like a bad crypto investment, and now they might finally go somewhere they're needed. It's a bit like sending your old Commodore to a mate in Queensland who still races them on the weekends, or finally selling that Weber grill that's too good to throw away but not good enough for Sunday steaks. But in all seriousness, Australia's defense aid to Ukraine has been no joke. From Bushmasters to Abrams and now potentially Tigers, you've punched way above your weight. Respect. Okay, but what about the challenges? Well, let's not sugarcoat this. Transferring these helicopters won't be easy. The Tiger ARH has complex maintenance needs, and spare parts aren't sitting on a shelf in Kyiv. Ukraine would need infrastructure, trained pilots, trained ground crews, weapons, and an operating concept to avoid the problems Australia ran into. There's also the clock. The Franco-German Tiger training hub is scheduled to shut down in 2028. That gives Ukraine a 3-year window to get their crews spun up before the global Tiger ecosystem starts to shut down. And it's not clear how many of the 22 Tigers are actually still flyable. Some may be cannibalized to keep the others airborne. That said, even if Ukraine only gets 8 or 10 working airframes, that's still a meaningful capability, especially when paired with tactics that maximize survivability against drone threats. Speaking of drones, this is the big doctrinal question. In a drone-saturated battlefield like Ukraine, can traditional attack helicopters still survive? Do they have a mission? South Korea doesn't think so. They just canceled their buy of 36 AH-64Es, citing lessons from Ukraine. They are shifting focus to drones and loitering munitions instead. Now that's not crazy. Helicopters fly low and slow. That makes them perfect for close air support and perfect targets for manpads and FPV drones. But Ukraine has shown that helos still have a role if used carefully. Mi-24s and Ka-52s are flying pop-up rocket attacks. Some are even used as flying artillery, slinging volleys of S-8 rockets from standoff ranges. And with the right tactics, helicopters can launch air-launched effects or AILs, drop mini-drones, jam enemy radars, or kill targets of opportunity. The key is not to loiter. Hit, move, hide, and repeat. The Tiger ARH has enough tech to support those missions, and in Ukraine's hands, we might see it used in ways Australia never imagined. So how does the Tiger stack up? Well, compared to the Apache, it's lighter, it's quieter, it's less armored, but more agile. The Apache wins on sensors and weapons and survivability, but compared to the AH-1Z Viper, which Ukraine is also eyeing via a letter of intent with Bell Textron, it's pretty even. Both carry Hellfires, both have 20 to 30 millimeter cannons, and both are modern twin-engine attack helos. But the Tiger is available now, and it's sitting in storage. That immediacy might outweigh all other factors. Look, friends, the Tiger ARH isn't perfect, but it was never meant to be. It was a compromised design born from European politics and adapted by Australia for harsh environments. And now, in an ironic twist, it might be finally getting the war it was built for. Ukraine doesn't need perfect. It needs systems it can use now, systems that can survive long enough to matter. With the right support, the Tiger could fly again, not in training exercises in the outback, but over the Donbas, hunting artillery, armored vehicles, and drones. And for Australia, it's a dignified end for a troubled program, one that could help turn the tide in Europe's most important war since 1945. Not a bad legacy for a bird you were planning to bury. That's it for today, my friends. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit like and subscribe. And to my viewers in Brisbane and beyond, it is 6 degrees outside in Michigan. I wish I was in Australia right now. But tell me down in the comments, should Australia send the Tigers to Ukraine or let them rust in the outback? Stay sharp out there, and as always, glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. Crimea is Ukraine.